our elder ancestor, Baba Heru Amun-Ra Sebayt. And we want to say to him, beloved ancestor Heru, falcon-headed, child of Austin Asar and one of leadership, we praise you and tend to your shrine. We want to make sure that we always give homage to our elder ancestor, because he has laid the foundation for us to realize who we are. And it's important as we do this Sebayt work that we keep in mind the that drive that he has given us, and the charge that we've been given as shrine members and as descendants of Africans who practice this spiritual way of life. So it's important that we pay homage to our dear elder ancestor.
Yes, yes. Duan Tur for our great Baba.
And just as in a tradition that our ancestor has given us, we know that when we begin anything of importance, that we begin with the opening of the way. And so we want to begin by doing the opening of the way. Today, we're going to use a video of our hymnetter, Jabario Saze, and our Hemid Netter, Anika Daniels. And so let us take a look at this video. And again, if you are home, this is not theater, right? Like let's join in this ritual that the ancestor has given us, again, to help us stay grounded and connected in not only our tradition, but in who we are and how we move forward.
Anetrak unbet het, Nuke unbet het.
Anetrak hapi.
Nuke hapi, Twau enter. Anetrak serket, Nuke serket.
Anetrak kebsenuf.
Nuke kebsenuf, Twau enter. Anetrak ast, Nuke ast.
Anetrak amset.
Nuke amset, Twau enter. Anetrak neat, Nuke neat.
Anetrak dwamutef.
Nuke dwamutef, Twau enter. Anetrak newt, Nuke newt.
Anetrak geb.
Nuke geb, Twau enter.
Anetrak shoe.
Nuke shoe. 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 Anetrak tefnut. Nuke tefnut. 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 Nuke tefnut. Anetrak pau enteru. Nuke pau enteru. Anetrak unbu enteru. Nuke unbu enteru. Twau enter. Twau enter.
This is the opening of the way. We did it a little bit unusually because we would normally stay immediately next to each other.
No, that's what I'm thinking of that. Okay, let me pause this. St. Jason, before we move on, you want to speak briefly about the opening of the way? I know that there may be some people who are not familiar with it or have not seen it before. You want to talk just briefly about it?
Yeah, the opening of the way is a ritual, as he was just stating, created by our shrine elder, Baba Heru Amun-Ra Sebayt. And it, for me personally, what I use it as, it's a way to remind me of my power before I do anything of importance. Um, it's a way to galvanize divine energy to take you into the world or into whatever situation you're going into, so that's what I use it for. It can be different for some people, but that's what it is to me. So Xenaton, I know he probably think it feels like it's something different for him, but it's more so of it's a way to galvanize power and energy,
Mm-hmm.
just feel the energy and to give off negative energy if that's where you're at the time. So, but yeah, you're giving and you're receiving divine energy. That's what it
Wow.
does.
Wow. And yes, and Jason, I understand and I recognize how the opening of the way does do that, right? Like it does. If we understand that pose of adoration and we understand the purpose of it, then we recognize again how that ritual helps us to, like you say, galvanize that energy. So but just like we talk about all the time, that there are many different philosophical levels of looking at these understandings, and not only that, just different ways of seeing things. And like you said, so for me, when I do the opening of the way, I sometimes, not all the time, because we do want to make sure that we have uh, intention in mind when we're doing it, right? But sometimes when I do it, I like to focus on the aspect of my divinity, right, and understanding how this ritual helps me to further understand the importance of my connection with the divine and how these nature reflect myself, right? Again, when we understand the words that are being said, a Necharak, Newt, show me your face, Newt, Newt, I am Newt. And so it's and so when I do the opening of the way, I try to do visualization with it as well and make sure that I'm visualizing myself as these nature and taking on that power, so to speak, and that helps me to in turn galvanize that. So again, although we we just want to make it clear that we may not see things exactly the same way all the time, but there's a way that these things are given to us by our ancestors so that we're able to make sense of them through many different lenses, so to speak.
Yeah, and let me say that like the Shrine of Ma'at is about unity, not uniformity.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, there are some things that in order to be a practitioner, you're going to do automatically. But to be in the house of the Shrine of Ma'at, you don't have to be totally uniform. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard to explain, but there's a freedom there also. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you're
Opposed
saying.
to some other spiritual organizations.
Do I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so let us move into our study tonight. And one thing that we want to do is make sure that we encourage everyone to participate as well, right? If anyone is there in the chat, again, this is not a situation where we are the experts on this subject. We want to make sure that we're getting discourse from the family as well, so we can have a better understanding of these concepts. And so I want to make we can begin like we do every Sebayt with a quote of wisdom. St. Jason, you wanna read the quote of wisdom?
Yes, I got you. Quote of wisdom for today. By living a life based on wisdom and truth, one can discover the divinity of the soul, its union to the universe, and the supreme peace and contentment which comes with satisfying the inner drive for self-discovery. That's by Muada Ashby, Ancient Egyptian Proverbs. This saying reflects the ancient Egyptian belief that the human spirit contains divine elements, such as the Ka and the Ba, that can achieve harmony with the cosmos through a virtuous life.
Do I say I think that well, we could I think that that's pertinent to this conversation that we're going to have today, and I think it actually kind of piggybacks off of what we were just referring to, as far as us having many different parts that come together that can, be cohesive. And so as we go into this kind of study, or this study specifically tonight, is going to help us to kind of understand how our ancestors looked at this concept of many different parts coming together in cohesion on one level, right? We see this concept of many making one in every aspect of Kemetic spirituality. And so this is just going to be one way that we see it. And just like we were just speaking about, another way we see that reality played out is within our relationships as far as the community and things of that nature is concerned. So I think it's interesting as we move forward, we should keep that concept in the back of our minds. And so let us move forward. So today we're going to be talking about the parts of the soul. One of the reasons why I want to talk about this, and we want to talk about this today, is because when we had Sebayt last week in Detroit, I was speaking kind of fast and kind of made a error when I spoke, when I said that there were 5 parts to the soul, right? Like at the time we were talking about the ren, which is one part of the soul, but because it refers to the name, I was thinking about the names and the 5 different names for the Nasut, right? So I kind of got confused. So I want to make sure that we can look at this concept and get the correct understanding of it, so that we're not confused or having conflicting story. But then at the same time, as we look at this, what we'll see is that although we'll find that the soul is described as having 9 separate parts, depending on what text or what time period you're looking at, different ones will be kind of I won't say be more important than others, but you'll see others highlighted at kind of different times. So some people will say 5, some people will say 7, but the majority of scholars will agree to 9. And so again, like I said, I just wanted to make sure we go back over that concept so we have a good understanding of it. And so seeing you want to I'm sorry, say that again.
No, I said that was a good thing to point out, though, Sin.
Okay, yeah, do I, Sin. So you want to read these parts of the soul, this text we got up here, Sin?
I can read that, yep.
Okay.
The parts of the soul. The soul was thought to consist of 9 separate parts which were integrated into a whole individual, but had very distinct aspects. That's from Egyptologist Rosalie David. Rosalie David explains, the Egyptians believed that the human personality had many facets, a concept that was probably developed early in the Old Kingdom. In life, the person was a complete entity, but if he had led a virtuous life, he could also have access to a multiplicity of forms that could be used in the next world. In some instances, these forms could be employed to help those whom the deceased wished to support, or alternately take revenge on his enemies. In order for these aspects of the soul to function, the body had to remain intact. And this is why mummification became so integral a part of the mortuary rituals and the culture. In some eras, the soul was thought to be comprised of 5 parts, and in others 7, but generally it was 9.
Dua saying, and so I think that quote pretty much speaks for itself. Again, I think when we're talking about the idea of living a virtuous life, right, is what allows you those other aspects of yourself, right? Like I think if we're talking about and as we've been talking about the morality of African culture, we understand that in order to become Ma'akeru, that one had to, practice a life of Ma'at, right? And so I think it's going through those different trials and tribulations through life and gradually growing through that Kepper process and doing the things that are required, which again makes you Ma'akeru and gives you access to those other parts of yourself, those experiences and things of that nature, and the teachings that you're able to gain over time is what helps you to become again that virtuous soul. You want to add anything, Sam?
No, just I mean, if you think about it, even Smai Tao We, just for all of those parts to be to have to come together, and how balanced they have to be in order to live that virtuous life. You know what I mean? That's just an interesting concept in itself. So just that, Sin.
Yep, I think that's I think that and even as we talk about the fact that these aspects of, so it says, in order for these aspects of the soul to function, the body had to remain intact. And this is why mummification became so integral part of the mortuary rituals and culture. Again, we have to remember it's not just what you do philosophic. Well, it's not what you do, just what you do spiritually, or it's also about the way you treat your body and things of that nature. So as we get into this and start to look at the separate parts of the soul, we'll understand how they come together and make a person virtuous to become Ma'akeru. So let's move forward. Oh, not too fast. All right. I think I can read this part, seeing I think I can see it. So the most significant ancient Egyptian texts describing the nature and journey of the soul are a collection of funerary, ritual, and philosophical writings written across millennia. Rather than a single holy book, these texts acted as maps and magical guides to help the soul's separate parts survive eternity. Primary mortuary corpora, the book of the, that means the primary mortuary book, the Pert Imheru, translating to the Book of Coming Forth by Day. This is a collection of roughly 200 spells written on papyrus scrolls. Spells like spell 125 describe the ib or the heart being weighed in judgment, while other specific spells ensure the ba, personality soul, could physically recognize and reunite with its mummified body every night. And so before I move on, just quickly again, this this is going to be explaining where these ideas and concepts can kind of be found in the text, right? As explained, it don't necessarily come from one specific book, right? But understanding of different texts written over different periods of time. And so I implore all high-level practitioners, as we do our private studies, to pay attention to some of these specific texts. For instance, like what's referred to as Spell 125. That's one of the most important texts that we should be understanding as far as the transformation of the soul and what happens in the Pert Imheru. And so I think it's important that we understand again, right, that there's not one specific place that we draw this understanding from, but again, it's taken over a time period of many millennia and drawn from many different sources. So go ahead, Sin. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm just agreeing with you, Sin, for real. Okay.
So the next source we can see is what's referred to commonly as the coffin text. Inscribed inside wooden coffins during the Middle Kingdom, these 1,185 spells contain the Book of Two Ways, the earliest known map of the underworld. They provided detailed instructions on how the Ba and the Ak, which is the transfigured spirit, could navigate spiritual obstacles, shift shapes, and avoid a catastrophic second death. Okay, so again, this is another source to where you should study to have a deeper understanding of these concepts, of not only the concept of the parts of the soul, but also the way the way the soul makes its way through the duat. Okay. Let me go back. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you while you're doing that, Sin, I'll tell y'all, if I know there are some good Netflix series and things out, right? If they were able to make these stories into like some type of series, it would be crazy. Because this history, the writings of the wisdom literature, as we call it, are quite interesting. I'm telling you.
Not only are they, again, very interesting, but the moral and ethical value that you find in these stories have stood the test of time. Not to necessarily sound too cliche, but we understand that some of these stories have been repeated so many times over that we don't even nearly recognize it anymore, right? Like and we can talk about even if we were talking about the Assyrian drama or the drama of Asar. We see that played out in movies, books, plays in so many different ways. So again, these concepts still have great moral value that we can still learn from today.
Yes, they do.
Okay. Yeah. And so another text or another source where we can find deeper understanding of the different parts of the soul are what's referred to as the pyramid texts. These are the oldest religious writings in human history. Let me repeat that. The pyramid text. Now, high-level practitioners know another name. We refer to this as another name, but for the sake of this conversation, we're referring to them as the pyramid text. The oldest religious writings in human history. Okay, make sure that we understand that that's a fact. They're carved directly onto Old Kingdom royal tomb walls. They primarily focus on the ascension of the pharaoh's Ak into the northern sky to reside among the undying stars. Literary and philosophical texts. Literary and philosophical texts. The dispute between a man and his Ba, a profound Middle Kingdom philosophical poem recorded on Papyrus Berlin 3024. It features a psychological dialogue between a depressed man and his own soul, his body, debating the value of life, the nature of death, and what awaits to the self on the other side. Another source for this is what's known as the Memphite theology. Preserved on a Shabaka stone, this creation narrative explains how the creator god Ptah conceived the world through his Ib, his heart mind, and spoke it into material reality using Heka, which is magic. It outlines the metaphysical baseline for how the human soul is intrinsically tied to divine thought and speech. And so again, these are sources where you can grasp a deeper understanding of the 9 parts of the soul. And I think it's important that we take heed or we take note of these sources because like we said before, you're not going to find this in one place. You're going to have to, read the text throughout the history of the culture in order to have a better understanding of how people saw their journey into the Duat and how they understood the steps to get there. And so we just wanted to make sure that we gave you some text that you can read and study on to have a better understanding of this, where you can draw your own understanding of how this fits into how you are practicing your Kemetic spirituality. You want to add anything before we move on, Sam?
I do, Sam. Earlier you were saying how these things had been repeated for years, over the years, and were unrecognizable now. I just want to say that in that Memphite theology, which we're very familiar with, saying you have that concept of speaking it into existence, and the spoken word is what causes things to become the reality that they become. You have that. That's a concept that has really been repeated over and over over years. If you study other literature, other religious literature, or even other wisdom literature, the concept is always there somewhere. Just wanted to say that, then, just and spark that in people's minds.
Yeah, and do I, and that's a great point to make, Sam, because and one of the reasons why we have these sources up here is so you can go back read and get, again, not just a better understanding of this concept, but of the practice of Kemetic spirituality itself, right? And see how the ancestors, the people who practice it, see how they viewed it, and then you can compare that to what your understanding of the world is today, and you'll find so many similarities that it may cause you to rethink some things. And so let us continue to move on. And so we're talking about the 9 parts of the soul. All right, and I'm gonna read through these, and then we'll talk about each one of them briefly and specifically, right? Okay, so the Ba, which is considered the personality, is often depicted as a human-headed bird. It was the unique personality that could fly between the physical and spiritual realms. The Ka, which was described as the life force, is a person's spiritual double that remained tied to the body and the tomb, requiring nourishment from food and drink offerings. The Ak, which is the transformed spirit, That is the immortal unified spirit that was formed after a soul successfully passed the judgment of the underworld. The Ib, which is the heart, is considered the center of human thought, emotion, and memory. It was weighed against the feather of Ma'at in the hall of two truths. The Ren, which is the name, a crucial part of the soul. Egyptians believed that as long as a person's name was spoken, they would continue to exist. The Shuat, which is the shadow, an integral shadow self that accompanied every person and was closely linked to their survival. The Khat, which is the physical body, the mortal vessel. Mummification was essential so the other parts of the soul could return to their physical home. Sekhem, which is described as the vital energy or power of the deceased. And the Sahu, the form of a dead body that is mummified, the part of the body that is associated with the soul and can ascend to the heaven and dwell with souls. So this is a brief description of the 9 different parts of the soul. You got any commentary you want to ask? And I don't know if you can see any comments or anything.
I just pulled up the comments and I'm responding to them now. Let's see.
Because I don't see any at all. So let me see. Before
you want to go ahead and read the next one, let me make.
Let me see. Yeah.
Don't let me. Okay, I'm gonna just start it over again. Okay. All right.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, if you want to keep going,
yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
fine. Yeah, I keep going. Okay. So the first part of the soul we want to talk about is the Ba. The Ba was everything that makes an individual unique, similar to the notion of personality. In this sense, inanimate objects could have a Ba, a unique character, and indeed, Old Kingdom pyramids often were called the Ba of their owner. The Ba is an aspect of a person that the Egyptians believed would live after the body died. And it is sometimes depicted as a human-headed bird flying out of the tomb to join with the Ka in the afterlife. Oh, in the coffin text, one form of the Ba that comes into existence after death is corporal, eating, drinking, and copulating. Egyptologist Louis Vicker Zachbar argues that the Ba is not merely a part of the person, but it is the person himself. Unlike the soul in Greek or late Judaic, Christian, or Muslim thought, the idea of a purely immaterial existence was so foreign to the Egyptian thought that when Christianity spread in Egypt, they borrowed the Greek word psyche to describe the concept of soul instead of the term Ba. Zabkar concludes that so particular was the concept of the Ba to ancient Egyptian thought that it ought not to be translated, but instead the concept be footnoted or parenthetically. I need to go. I'm not gonna try that one. Saying
okay.
Explain.
Parenthetically.
Parenthetically. Okay, you know what? Yeah, but let's go back because, to be honest, let me see where. Because, oh, you know what? Let me do this. Because we not just going to skip over this. Let me see.
I'll read the next one, Sam.
Well, you can keep reading that, but I want to see what this word mean, right? Like
I just looked it up. It means like it's a word that interrupts a sentence or phrase to provide extra information. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we understood what we was reading, and it's pronounce it again for me, saying
parenthetically.
Parenthetically. Okay, yeah, parenthetically. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your expertise. All right, now I can continue reading, and you can do the next one if that's fine.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, so let me go back. Egyptian thought that it ought not be translated, but instead the concept be footnoted or parenthetically explained as one of the modes of existence for a person. In another mode of existence, the Ba of the deceased is depicted in the Book of the Dead, referring to the mummy and participating in life outside the tomb in non-corporal form, echoing the solar theology of Ra, uniting with Asar each night. The word Ba, the word Baal, plural of Ba, meant something similar to impressiveness, power, and reputation, particularly of a deity. When a deity intervened in human affairs, it was said that the Baal of the deity were at work. All right. So I think that gives us a good a good base understanding of what the body is in that part of it. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how the Egyptologists argued for a deeper understanding of this part. Yeah. And even how the Greek misunderstood it and it became psyche, which is interesting because when we start to talk about psychology and things of that nature, basically we're talking about the study of the Ba, huh? So it's just interesting when we look at these words and not only the words but the concepts behind them. It gives us a better understanding of how all these things work together in unison. All right. The next part of the soul we want to speak about is the Ka. Sing, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I'll read and I'm gonna explain. See, one thing I'm gonna explain. So, but I'll start reading now. Yep. So the Ka was the Egyptian concept of vital essence, which distinguishes the difference between a living and a dead person, with death occurring when the Ka left the body. The Egyptians believed that Khnum created the bodies of children on a potter's wheel and inserted them into their mother's bodies. That's one of the Kemetic creation stories. If just in case anybody's listening that is not familiar with Kemetic cosmology, there are several creation stories. So just so you know. All right. And then depending on the region, Egyptians believed that Heket or Meshkenet was the creator of each person's Ka, breathing it into them at the instance of their birth as the part of their soul that made them be alive. The Egyptians also believed that the Ka was sustained through food and drink. For this reason, food and drink offerings were presented to the dead, although it was the Ka within the offerings that was consumed, not the physical aspect. In the Middle Kingdom, a form of offering tray known as a soul house, was developed to facilitate this. The Ka was often represented in Egyptian iconography as a second image of the king, leading earlier works to attempt to retake Ka as double. Oh, we got that one kind of messed up. But okay, there we go. In the Old Kingdom private tombs, artwork predicted a doubled world with essential people and objects for the owner of the Ka. As ancient Orient curator Andriy Balshikov explains, the notion of the Ka was a dominating concept of the next life in the Old Kingdom. In a less pure form, it lived into the Middle Kingdom and lost much of its importance in the New Kingdom, I'm sorry, although the Ka will always remain the recipient of offerings.
All right.
So the Ka is that essential part of you that distinguishes you from a dead person. That's interesting.
Yeah, that really is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you understand that the Ka and the Ba have to join, right?
Right.
I think that's a concept that we will probably delve into more deeply in private. But I think that's an interesting concept for anybody who's interested in this in Kemetic spirituality should further investigate. So
I mean, to some degree, it's like saying the Ka is like your animation.
Yeah.
Like you get what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like your animation or your automation, whatever. I would say animation, but you probably could use either. But just we'll probably talk about that a little more in private.
Even just looking at even the symbol for the Ka is interesting. As you see the drawing of a Ka in the form of a man with two upright arms, and the Sarek of the pharaoh is empty to not represent any specific pharaoh on the top of his head. But I think that's interesting if you look at that symbology, right? And understand, and we talk about the animation, like you said, of the Ka. In this depiction, the Ka is actually given the Nasut his animating power with that Sarek being in there. So it's interesting when you go into the when you dive deeper into the understanding of some of these concepts. And so let us continue.
Okay.
So the next part of the
go ahead.
I'll read
it if you want.
Oh, go ahead. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the Akh, the effective one is what it's called, was a concept of the dead that varied over the long history of ancient Egyptian belief. Relative to the afterlife, Akh represented the deceased who was transfigured and often identified with light. It was associated with thought, but not as an action of the mind. Rather, it was intellect as a living entity. The Akh also played a role in the afterlife. Following the death of the Het, the physical body, the Ba and Ka were reunited to reanimate the Akh. The reanimation of the Akh was only possible if the proper funeral rites were executed and followed by constant offerings. The ritual was termed Sith. I think it's Sith. Is that what it is, Sam? Sith?
I think so.
Something. Sish. It might be Sish.
Okay.
Or to make a dead person into a living person. In this sense, it developed into a sort of roaming ghost when the tomb was not in order anymore during the 20th dynasty. An Akh could do either harm or good to persons still living, depending on the circumstances, causing nightmares, feelings of guilt, sickness, etc. It could be invoked by prayers or written letters left in the tomb's offering chapel, also in order to help living family members, by intervening in disputes, by making an appeal to other dead persons or deities with any authority to influence things on earth for the better, but also inflict punishments. The separation of Ak and the unification of Ka and Ba were brought about after death by having the proper offerings made and knowing the proper efficacious spell. But there was attendant risk of dying again. Egyptian funerary literature, such as the coffin texts and the Pert Em Heru, were intended to aid the deceased in not dying a second time and to aid in becoming the Ak.
I think one of the things that we need to take away from this that stands out to me is the importance of continued offerings and continued adoration by your living descendants, right? Like the people who still living have to continue to do the things that's required of them on their side in order to make this Ak effective, right? Like again, like we say all the time, you don't just become an ancestor because you die, right? There are certain things that's required that make you an ancestor. And as we're learning through this study, there are certain things that you had to do in order to get all 9 of those parts to be activated. And one of the things that you had to do was to maintain a certain level of relationship with the people that loved you and who you loved in order for them to continue to call your name and to continue to bring offerings and to activate that Ak once you had changed form. It's interesting because as the last line says, the funerary literature were intended to aid the deceased in not dying a second time, right? And aid in becoming an Ak. And it's often said that when you don't call your ancestors' name, they die a second time, right? So I think that refers to some of the things that we have to do in order to, continue to help our deceased loved ones. And I don't know if you still there, Sin Jason. I don't know if Sin Jason drop. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, no worries. Okay, he's gonna be coming back. But what I'll continue on with the next part of the soul, which is the ib, right? An important part of the Kemetic soul was thought to be the ib or heart. In the Kemetic religion, the heart was the key to the afterlife. It was essential to surviving death in the Duat or the netherworld, where it gave evidence for or against its possessor. Like the physical body, the heart was a necessary part of judgment in the afterlife, and it was to be carefully preserved and stored within the mummified body with a heart scarab carefully secured to the body above it to prevent it from telling tales. According to the text of the Book of Breathing, they drag Osiris, which should be Asar, into the pool of Kansu, and like the Osirm Hor, justified, born of Tekebet, justified after he has grasped his heart. They bury the Book of Breathings which As made, which is written on both its inside and outside, wrapped in royal linen, and is placed under the left arm near his heart. It was thought that the heart was examined by Anpu and the deities during the weighing of the heart ceremony. If the heart weighed more than the feather of Ma'at, it was immediately eaten by the monster Amet, and the soul became eternally restless. So just to talk about this again briefly, it's important to understand, their concept of the heart, because the heart was the organ that was placed back into the body, right? But their understanding of the heart was that it was necessary for judgment in the afterlife, because the heart preserved it preserved your true your true feelings, so to speak, right? I don't say necessarily feelings, but it was
your deeds weigh on your heart, either light or heavy.
Right.
So your heart is going to carry all of that, even after your physical body is done.
Right. Exactly. Right. And I'm trying to put this in words that's not too deep and kind of, have an understanding that's, mostly surface level, but not necessarily kind of too deep. But understand that the heart, although was not one of the organs that was preserved, it was left with the body, which shows its importance in the different parts of the soul. All right, now we can move forward to the next part. You want to read this one, Sam?
I can read it. So the Ren, a person's name, was an essential aspect of individuality and central to one's survival after death. Most ancient Egyptian names embodied a meaning which was believed to have a direct relationship to its owner. Placing a name on a status ceded the image to the dead named, providing a second body. The obliteration of a name from an object or monument destroyed this connection, and in some cases was done intentionally to hinder one's prospects in the afterlife. Key aspects of the Ren are true names and nicknames. Citizens often had an everyday nickname, which their true Ren was kept secret from everyone except the gods to prevent malevolent entities from using it in magic. Immorality, to ensure a successful transition to the afterlife, or the Aaru. The Ren was inscribed heavily on tombs, coffins, and statues to ensure the deceased was constantly remembered. Obliteration. The concept of the Ren is also the reason for damnation or damnatio memori. I'm sorry. The purposeful destruction or scratching out of an individual's name from monuments, such as the erasures of Hatshepsut and Akhenaten. Egyptians believed this would strip the soul of its connection to the living world and effectively erase their afterlife. The soul's network. The Ren worked in harmony with other elements of the Egyptian soul, primarily the Ka, the life force, or the Ba, the personality, the Ib, the heart, or the Shihut, the shadow. So the Ib worked. The Ren was attached to just about every aspect of you. So,
yeah.
As
I think.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking how important, like you say, it's tied to every aspect and every part of you. And I think it's important when you talk about Heka and some of the things that the ancestors did. So, for instance, like they said, the damnatio memori, the purposeful destruction of scratching out an individual's name. Like, I think that's shows how important they thought that this was, because just by scratching out your name, they understood that could take away power. And then not only, again, just like we were just speaking about, Sam, when we talk about venerating our ancestors, it's important to continue to say their names, right? Like, it's important to continue to call them who they are, so that we can have that connection Yeah, I almost it's almost like a I don't know, like why I want to say like a lighthouse or a beacon or something, right? Like that.
I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean by that. Yeah, I get what you mean by that.
That wren, is it seems to be like that, right? They kind of help you point out. So I think that's something again that would definitely we could benefit from having a deeper conversation about. So
that goes to like anyone who's lost anyone that you miss them or whatever. Continue to say their name. They may actually reach out to you some kind of way. But that's one of the most honorable ways to remember a person is by speaking their name.
Yeah. Do I? All right, let's go to this next part. All right. And I read this part saying the shoot, a person's shadow or silhouette, the suit, is always present. Because of this, Egyptians surmised that a shadow contains something of the person it represents. Through this association, statues of people and deities were sometimes referred to as shadows. Key characteristics of the suit: a powerful guardian. Far from being a symbol of evil or horror, the shadow represented comfort, presence, and protection. Funerary texts like the Pert Imheru highlight it as an entity that guards the soul and moves with extreme speed through the earthly and spiritual realms. Visual representation. In hieroglyphs, the tomb artwork, the suit is drawn as a complete silhouette of a human painted entirely black. The black color carried double meaning. It mirrored the physical darkness of a literal shadow, but it also symbolized the fertile, life-giving black soil of the Nile Valley. The solar connection. The suit was intrinsically tied to the sun god Ra. Just as a shadow disappears when darkness falls and is reborn every morning when the sun rises, the suit symbolized the soul's ability to be reborn daily. Oh wow, that's a profound concept.
Yes, it is, Sam.
And some that we should not look over, right? Like that's a profound concept when you think about Amun in the hidden part, right? The power, right?
Yeah.
And and again the sun cycle, how it's born and dies every day, and the fact that like they're saying that suit is always there, no matter what, whether you see it or not. Just like Amun, just like that power. I think that's an interesting concept.
That is an interesting concept. I like that. Yeah, it'll
we're gonna have to put a pin on that one right there.
Yeah, we are seeing we're gonna have to come back to that one at a point.
Yeah. All right. And the afterlife journey. When a person died, the suit will remain attached to the earthly realm rather than ascending straight to heaven. During the day, it was believed to leave the tomb to roam the earth, serving as a swift vehicle for the deceased. Some Egyptians even included a shadow box among their funerary goods to give the suit a dedicated physical home. So I think that it's important, right, that we understand, right, like all these different parts that, well, not all, but some of these different parts that we've talked about still have action and power after the person has transformed, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's
an
important
concept too, Sam.
Yeah, we have to take note of that, right? Because we don't, we have to understand that from what's being explained to us, this is at death, your power doesn't end, right? Like at death is not the end. I think that's one of the things that we can kind of grasp from this understanding of the different parts of the soul and their characteristics. I think again that we can talk about this more on a deeper philosophical level, but just for face value, pay attention to the fact that again, so many parts of this soul is animated, but not only that, these parts of the soul that are animated, they seem to have specific tasks, so to speak, right? Like they have a part that they're assigned to that doesn't conflict with the other parts of the soul.
Yep.
All right, so let's move through the next part. You want to read this one, Sam?
I can read this one. So we're at the cot. The cot. The cot or physical form had to exist for the soul to have intelligence or the chance to be judged by the guardians of the underworld. Therefore, it was necessary for the body to be preserved as efficiently and completely as possible, and for the burial chamber to be as personalized as it could be, with paintings and statuary showing scenes and triumphs from the deceased life. In the Old Kingdom, only the pharaoh was granted mummification, and thus a chance at an eternal and fulfilling afterlife. By the Middle Kingdom, all dead were afforded the opportunity. Herodotus, an ancient Greek scholar, observed that the grieving families were given a choice as to the type and or the quality of the mummification they preferred. The best and most expensive kind is said to represent a Asar. The next best is somewhat inferior and cheaper, while the third is cheapest of all. Because the state of the body was tied so closely with the quality of the afterlife, by the time of the Middle Kingdom, not only were the burial chambers painted with depictions of favorite pastimes and great accomplishments of the dead, but there were also small figurines called ushaptis, or servants, slaves, and guards, and in some cases beloved pets, were included in the tombs to serve the deceased in the afterlife. Before a person could be judged by the gods, they had to be awakened through a series of funerary rites designed to reanimate their mummified remains in the afterlife. The main ceremony, the opening of the mouth ceremony, is best described within Pharaoh Seti's tomb. All along the walls and statuary inside the tomb are reliefs and paintings of priests performing the sacred rituals, and below the paintings, images, the text of the liturgy of opening of the mouth can be found. This ritual, which presumably would have been performed during interment, was meant to reanimate each section of the body, the brain, the head, the limbs, etc., so that the spiritual body would be able to move in the afterlife. All right, Sin. I think that one was pretty self-explanatory. So the cot is basically somewhat the physical body. So.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Sin. I thought I was talking, but I was muted. So yeah, I was just. No, I was just saying, yeah, that I agree with you, right? Like this part is pretty much self-explanatory, and if we go any deeper, we will be probably going too deep. But understand that the cot represents the physical body, and it's tied directly to the mummification rites, which were an essential part of these parts of the body coming together, and an essential part of you becoming Ma'akeru. This had to occur as well, and so I think that's as far as we will go with that. All right.
I was just responding to one of the comments. St. Curtis says, so each part has a life of its own.
Basically, right? Basically, and you think about just think about the different parts of yourself. Think about the different parts of your character and personality, right? The parts, that make us up. I think it's similar to that same concept. Saying, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. And he also asked earlier, so are shadow people real? The shadow self left after a person has transitioned? No, I don't think the shadow person leaves after a person transitions.
No, it doesn't leave. It said, let's go back from the understanding.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Because I think we read that it said it doesn't leave. Yeah, when a person died, the suit will remain attached to the earthly realm rather than ascending straight to heaven.
Right.
During the day, it was believed to leave the tomb to roam the earth, serving as a swift vehicle for the deceased. Some Egyptians even included a shadow box among their funerary goods to give the suit a dedicated physical home. So, to St. Curtis's question, is the shadow people real? I would say that it seems as though some of that myth may come from this understanding of what the shadow actually is and does, right? Like, so literary shadow people, I would say no, but again, that's a conversation that we can have amongst ourselves, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
But but I think that was a good question and a good point to point out, Sin Curtis Dua.
Yeah. And
so
he said earlier, thus an added benefit of daily libation. I believe he was referring to when we were speaking about the Ak, I want to say.
Okay. Not sure, but
maybe not the Ak, but I know he was talking about when they were saying those offerings is what kept the let me see. I'm curious now. Seeing, give me just a second. Let me see.
No, go ahead.
Maybe he was talking about the Ba.
Or could be St. Curtis. If you're still watching, can you put in the chat what you were referring to, and we can go back to it. But for the sake of time, let's continue. We only got a few more slides left. I only remember how many parts we done went through already. I stopped counting.
Yeah, I don't need to.
We should be getting close to the
end. We've got one. No, we did all those. Okay, yeah, we got 3 more to go, family. We got 3 more to go.
All right, so let's wrap this up for the family so we can end our night up. Okay, this next part that we want to talk about is the Sekhem. In the ancient Egyptian connection, Sekhem, an ancient Egyptian connection of the soul, Sekhem represents the incorporeal personification of the vital force or divine power of the soul. Rather than being a standalone spirit, it is one of the multiple facets often counted among the 5, 7, or 9 components that make up a complete human personality and spiritual blueprint. Key characteristics of the Sekhem: the power of the afterlife. The Sekhem is generally understood as the living, active energy that manifests after a person passes away. It exists in the heavenly realms once the deceased has successfully passed the final judgment and been deemed worthy. Ma'akeru. Divine dwelling. According to ancient funerary texts like the Pert Imheru, the Sekhem is described not only as a personal power, but also as a celestial space where the underworld gods Heru and Asar dwell. Asar himself was frequently designated as the Great Sekhem, or foremost of powers, control and agency. Unlike more static elements of the body, the sekhem allowed the perfected soul, or the akh, to manipulate and control its physical surroundings, navigate the underworld, and exercise authority in the afterlife. That's important. I'm gonna read that again. Unlike more static elements of the body, the sekhem allowed the perfected soul to manipulate and control its physical surroundings, navigate the underworld, and exercise authority in the afterlife. So this sekhem is a key part of this soul that allows you to connect with not only to use the power that you have, but it helps you to connect with the physical world after you've changed form. Symbolic representation. The term sekhem literally translates to power, might, or form. In physical artifacts, reliefs, and hieroglyphs, it is most famously represented by the sekhem scepter. This scepter served as a ritual badge of office held by pharaohs, priests, and deities to symbolize divine authority, control over life forces, and spiritual dominion. It was also closely connected to Anpu, who is regularly depicted with the scepter resting near him. And you can see Anpu in the top right corner with the sekhem resting near him. Modern interpretations. In modern holistic and spiritual communities, sekhem has been adapted into a form of alternative energy healing. Practitioners view it as an ancient Egyptian equivalent to prana, chi, or ki, a high vibrational, multidimensional life force energy used to balance the physical, emotional, and spiritual layers of the body. This modern practice is often linked to the lioness goddess Sekhmet, who governs both destruction and medicine. So, again, I think that's kind of self-explanatory, and I think that's another one we should kind of put a pin in to come back and look more into the specific text and how they describe the sekhem. I'm gonna write that down and take a note real fast.
Yeah, we can definitely come back to that one at some point. And Sin Curtis did respond. He said, continuing to say the name. He was speaking about.
Oh yeah, of course.
When we were talking about the Ren. So good point, Sin Curtis.
Good point, Sin Curtis. Okay, so let us move to the last part. This should be the last part. Okay. You want to read this, Sin?
I can read this one. Well, actually, this ain't the last one, Sin. We got two more.
Well, no, we got one more.
The Sa and the Sahu.
Well, you gave up the Sahu. That was the bonus. I should have told you that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The bonus study.
Okay,
that we just gonna throw it now. But now, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So in ancient Kemetic mythology, the Sa, also spelled Sahu, is the glorified spiritual body that forms after a person dies, providing all proper mummification and funerary rites, rituals are completed successfully. It is the eternal magical manifestation of the physical corpse, the Khat, that allows a soul to travel to, navigate, and interact within the afterlife. Core functions and formation. The Sahu is not given at birth, but it is achieved only post-mortem. The mummification link. When a physical body, the Khat, is mummified, the physical form is transformed by magic and rituals into the Sahu. Divine judgment. The deceased must be judged worthy by Asar and the gods of the underworld for the Sa to properly manifest. Afterlife interaction. Once formed, this spiritual body possesses the mental and spiritual faculties required to dwell among the gods, spirits, and other souls in the field of reeds. Vengeance. In Egyptian lore, if the deceased was wronged in life, The Sa could sometimes act as an avenging spirit, returning from the underworld to seek justice.
Dua. And so, again, this part, this is the final part of the soul that we want to discuss, and I think it's important that we end here as we move kind of into our next slide, because the Sa is almost, or it can be looked at as the culmination or the completed parts. When those parts come together, you become a Sa, so to speak, right? That Sa gets to dwell in the stars with the rest of the Neteru, which is an interesting concept. But again, like some of those parts that, like the Ren that's given to you at which is given to you, probably the Ba and the Ka, which you are born with. The Sahu is not given at birth, but it's only achieved after post-mortem, right? After you die. So it's interesting, because if you want to talk about becoming complete, you can only become complete after death. That's an interesting concept, right? That's interesting. So death completes us, huh? Is how we can kind of look at this concept. But I think it's extremely interesting, and we can go so much further into this, but I think what we want to make sure that we understand and get across is that this part of the soul, again, you can only achieve after death. But it's almost like the final part, right? The final part of the completion, because you don't get to this point until you've done all the things that are required to be Ma'ak Heru, both in life and in death, right? Because as it says, all the proper mummification and funerary rituals have to be completed successfully, right? That means that you have to go through the hall of judgment, right? Like that means that your Mesu Heru have been deemed just, right? That those parts of you are in alignment with what you need to be. And so it's not again, we need to understand that this is a process in order to become a complete soul, or to become an Ak. It requires different stages and levels of life, and one part of that is death. You want to add anything to that, Sin, before we move to the last slide?
No, Sam, I think you broke it down pretty good. Just that the Sa is that part of you that takes its place. It's the completed part of you that takes its place in the afterlife once judgment has been successful. So I'll just say it that way.
Dua. And so now that we've I don't say we successfully, but we've talked about the 9 parts of the soul, and I'm hoping that this has given everyone a better understanding of this concept of unification that of the body that the ancient Kemetic people understood, right? And also, I'm hoping that for some that this is a good place where they can begin their deeper study of these concepts, so that they can understand how they can understand how having a better understanding of these concepts will translate into being a better Kemetic practitioner. Okay. And so I think that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we reiterate is that again, we don't consider ourselves experts in these fields, right? Like we just want to open a space and where we all can learn together. But again, one of the most important things that we come together for Sebayt for us to understand how we can translate this ancient wisdom literature in a way where we can use it in our lives today. And so, again, I want to make sure that we can look at these concepts and get a better realization of how these things translate into reality. But before we end this session, I want to talk about one more concept, and I want to talk about a nature, and that nature is Sahu, right? Now, again, we just talked about the Sah or the Sahu being one part of the soul, right? Now we're talking about the nature Sahu, right? And if you understand Kemetic spirituality and you understand that once you are deemed your heart has been weighed and it has been deemed in balance with the feather of Ma'at, and when you meet Asar, you understand that something interesting happens. And so for those Kemetic practitioners who have that understanding, I want us to translate that understanding from the part of the soul that is Sahu, just like the part of the soul that is being judged, and the nature Sahu. Okay, so let's talk about the nature Sahu a little bit. In ancient Kemetic religion, Sahu, also spelled Sa. Let's go back to this again. Let's understand this. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the Sa, also spelled Sahu. The Sahu, also spelled Sa. Understand what we're doing here. Is the god or nature who personifies the constellation Orion. He is frequently mentioned in the Old Kingdom pyramid text as father of the gods, acting as a celestial guide and gatekeeper of the stairway to the night sky for the souls of the deceased pharaohs. Mythology and cosmic role, the celestial cycle. Sahu was a stellar god believed to be swallowed by the underworld at dawn and reborn every night in the pyramid text. He is described as traversing the sky from east to west, spending 70 days out of the year beneath the horizon. The period Orion disappears from the night sky. This is a profound concept. This is a profound concept. The Sahu, the Sa is the what? And the Sahu, and Sahu is said to spend how many days? 70 days? I'm hoping that some of these high-level practitioners are making these connections, all right? 70 days out of the year beneath the horizon, the period Orion disappears from the night sky. Association with Asar. Association with Asar. Association with Asar. Because the constellation Orion rises just before Sirius, the star whose emergence signaled the annual flooding of the Nile, Sahu became deeply synchronized with Osiris, the god of resurrection, or Asar, I'm sorry, with Asar, the god of resurrection, okay? The soul aspect. In separate religious contexts, the Sahu also referred to the spiritual body or the incorruptible soul of a mummy that had been purified and granted a place among the stars. Okay. His divine family, his consort, his wife was Sebayt, known in Greek as Satis, the goddess who personified the star Sirius. True to their stellar alignment, Sebayt was synchronized with Isis, matching Sahu's connection to Asar. High-level practitioners. His wife was Sebayt, known in the Greek as Sophis, the goddess who personified the star Sirius. True to their stellar alignment, Sebayt was synchronized with Ast, matching Sahu's connection with Asar. Their offspring. Together, Sahu and Sebayt were the parents of Sapdu, the falcon god of the sky and the eastern frontiers. Together, Sahu and Sebayt were the parents of Sapdu, the falcon god of the sky in the eastern frontiers. The visual representation. Sahu is usually depicted as a man wearing the white crown of Upper Egypt. He often holds symbols of power like the Ankh or Wa scepter. In New Kingdom tombs and temple paintings, he is frequently shown sailing across the night sky in a papyrus boat surrounded by the stars. And if you look here on the right, you will see an image of Sahu, which, from looking at the blue, I'm going to say comes from the temple for Hetharu at Dendera, I believe. But that's I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember each one.
Right, I can't remember the source it's from, but I believe that's from there. But again, so I just want to kind of leave that there, right? I don't want to go too deep into this concept or this understanding, but I'm hoping that Kemetic practitioners were able to make the connection between these 9 parts of this soul, culminating into what we see as a Sa, and our understanding of the Netra Sahu, right? I don't think I need to necessarily make the comparisons anymore, but I think that when we come back to talk, I think when we come back in 2 weeks, which will be a private study session, a closed study session, this will be one of the agenda items, right? Let's talk about your understanding and how you made the connection between the 9 parts of the soul and the Netra Sahu. And so I think that as we continue to talk about being able to understand these concepts philosophically, as well as mythologically, again, the important thing that we want to remember is how we can apply these concepts to our everyday lives. And I think an understanding of the 9 parts of the soul and what it transforms to and what it transforms you into will help you to be a better Kemetic practitioner. And I'm going to leave that kind of there because, again, some of these concepts require a deep understanding of this spirituality. And so, again, those who are able to see what's being said to you, again, please take heed to the responsibility and the charge that we have in taking care of those 9 parts, those different parts of your soul, which can be seen as different aspects of your character throughout your lifetime, because we know that, again, as we just understand now, that not only is a part of what we do in this life accredited to us becoming an effective spirit, but what happens after our death also is required of us to make us an effective spirit. And so I think I'm gonna end there. And Jason, do you want to add anything before we close?
Yeah, I think the whole concept of afterlife, and what happens to you, what type of afterlife you're gonna have. Of course, it all depends on what type of life you live right now, I think. And that's the main tenet of explaining all different parts of the soul, is just that, you have to live a life to where all of your faculties, all of your emotional, I would say, faculties or whatever, and your mental and where your heart is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get to a point where you have a pure and clean heart, at least with your intentions. I think most of it boils down to your intentions. So just make sure your intentions and things are pure, and that's what the main concept of explaining all 9 parts of the soul really comes down to. So I'm glad you all joined us today.
Yeah, I am as well, and I'm looking. Hopefully, be looking forward to seeing us again. Maybe here in a couple weeks or so, or publicly. Again, our next study session will be a closed session only to Shrine of Mind members, and we'll be talking more in depth about some of these concepts as we look at the text surrounding this understanding, and take a deeper look into how our ancestors describe some of these parts of the soul. And so
our next session will be a virtual part 2 of this one.
Yeah.
But it would be a closed session, so it'll just be for members.
Yeah. And so with that, I think we can end. Saying, would you like to close us with the Amasu prayer?
No. What I really would like to do is, I would like to do just like a minute or two, just meditation to send everyone off with just a calm vibe, and so let's just pause for a minute or two, and let's just breathe. All right, dua, family.
Dua. Yeah, I think that was an appropriate way for us to close out, Sin. I think we take the time to just take a moment and get in the right frame of mind, so we can kind of let some of these concepts, these higher philosophical concepts, kind of sit with us, and we can kind of grasp their understanding. So I appreciate you for doing
this. Yes. Well, family, once again, we're glad, those of you who joined us, we're glad you did. We'll be back in 2 weeks for, on the Facebook page again. This time we're actually, I think, Senatan, myself, and Sinette, Olivia are all streaming on our YouTube pages also. So,
but we gonna figure this StreamYard out though. Me and San Jason, we gonna take us a StreamYard class.
We're gonna have to get Sinette Olivia to give us a tutorial on all of these streaming sites, the StreamYard and all of that.
Yeah, we need a tutorial for the 40s and up, huh? The 40 and up club, huh?
Yeah, exactly. We need
for
real. But yeah, it was great seeing. We'll chat soon, and everyone else, once again, thanks for being here, and we'll see you all next time.
Shimmy my family.
Shimmy my